strange. He bit his brother.
Kyle just needs some time. Try to remember what you felt when you were drowning.
My concern is he's not getting any better.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 found footage horror film, Bloat. The film is written and directed by Pablo Absento, and it stars Ben McKenzie, Bojana Novakovic, we have Sawyer Jones and Malcolm Fuller. Right, the film follows a family. We have the father and the mother, Hannah and Jack. Jack is in the armed forces. I think he works in military intelligence or something like that. And they suffer a great tragedy. They have a child. They've already got two children, two boys. And they have another child that unfortunately dies just after childbirth. So they have this traumatic event that happens. In order to kind of move on with their lives, the father, Jack, decides to kind of organise a lengthy trip abroad, and he decides on Japan, to take the family away for them to kind of reconnect and, spend a good amount of time in Japan. However, there is some kind of terrorist attack, and he is kind of called back from leave, because of his military intelligence role. So the mother and the two sons have to head out to Japan without him, and he plans on meeting up later with them in a few weeks when he is able once again. Now, when they get to Japan, the youngest son, Kyle, meets an accident in like a local pond sort of thing. He almost drowns. He is pulled out, saved, and from that moment on, he is not the same child. He doesn't behave the same. He doesn't act the same. He has violent tendencies. And they are deeply concerned, especially the father, who is at home, and we are kind of living this film through his eyes. He does loads of research, and he gets deeply concerned that there might be some kind of entity that is trying to take control of his son. Right, what are my thoughts on Bloat? Well, I mean, found footage, again, if you know my content, you know I love found footage. So any type of new found footage with any kind of polish to it or budget to it, I'm generally these days very interested in it. And this one I'd heard about, and I was quite looking forward to checking it out. Now, I do have to be honest here, I am not the biggest fan of this kind of style of found footage. It's all kind of told from behind someone's computer desk, like Unfriended and Searching, that type of stuff. I never feel as immersed in those type of found footage films as the traditional type. So, I mean, while I'm going to be fairly critical of this film, some of that might have to do with the style in which they tell this story. However, ultimately, my response to this film is I just did not connect with it really at all. I thought the idea and the concept was excellent. The fact that this boy almost drowns in this lake, and then when the dad does this research, there's this kind of possession that takes place, and this lake or pond, whatever, is renowned for this entity attaching itself to people, and he finds history of it happening before, and if you don't act in time, you've got to do this, that, and the other, and the whole idea and the concept is pretty cool, but the way it's told, it's almost like putting a jigsaw puzzle together, and most of that jigsaw puzzle is fairly dull and uninteresting, and that's kind of what you're getting here with this film. It's just constant Google searches, constant research, and sewn into that are like video calls with his family, video calls with his oldest son, who is the one that kind of starts drawing his dad's attention to the things that are going on with the youngest son. And then video calls with psychiatrist in Japan, video calls with one of his friends from the military who he kind of sends out there to look after his family while he is kind of stuck behind the desk and can't do anything. And it just kind of ultimately fails to deliver on scares, I would say, because of how it's told, the film. It shows promise here and there. There are scenes where you can see, something going on with the son, like flashes of something there, and you're kind of like, oh, that is pretty effective, and scenes of the son filming odd things going on with the younger brother, and it, and then the completely predictable thing that happens to his military friend that he sends out there to look after the family, where he's going to investigate this lake in the dead of night. Well, it's just cannon fodder stuff. So it proves to be ultimately quite a predictable tale by the end. And I don't remember, and for me this is criminal for a found footage film, I don't remember feeling like on the edge of my seat at any time. I never felt completely immersed in this story, in this world, in these characters. And even the ending, where he kind of eventually manages to kind of get out there, doesn't show anything really. And that's the problem, really. I mean, with films like this, you want some kind of payoff here, and you just don't get it, in my opinion. Found footage, for me, your patience should pay off in films like this, because I've seen many, many found footage films where, for a massive chunk, a good hour or so of the film, it's mainly set up. And then you get the final act of the film that is utter chaos and edge of the seat kind of stuff, white knuckle ride. And you don't really get that with this one. So while I don't think this is certainly anywhere near the worst found footage film I've seen in recent years or anything like that, I can't help but feel a little bit disappointed with the film, because, like I say, it just didn't draw me in, and it didn't kind of have me interested throughout. I mean, for me as well, I always generally like in my found footage films to have unrecognisable actors, again, because that keeps with the immersion. And we've got Ben McKenzie here, who was in the Gotham TV series, and he's been in a few other stuff. I think the only other time I can think where that's worked is I can't remember the name of it now, but there's another found footage film where they have like a recognisable name in the cast, but the film's done so well that you still feel immersed in it, sort of thing. Whereas in this one, I never did really feel immersed. So, yeah, I mean, despite an interesting concept, and despite all of that, and a couple of interesting moments here and there, it doesn't really do enough, I don't think, to be one to strongly recommend to you guys. So yeah, let me know, guys, if you've seen Bloat, what your thoughts are on it, and I will of course be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.